We can now all agree that the moral crimes committed here by Ryan Reynolds against Justin Baldoni have amounted to high treason. After having read through the amended lawsuit, Ryan absolutely must go home. And I have got some major scoops. I mean, everybody's talking because the sink is shipping and people want to get onto lifeboats.
What I'm thinking is what Brian Friedman is going to say is, so you were upset that you say your wife was harassed. And he's going to say yes. And he's going to say, yet
unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation.
Celebrities avoiding Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds really goes to show that their careers are pretty much done and over.
But funny enough, you can't find the entire video. I only found the clip. So it was very bizarre that clip just was sitting somewhere in the clouds and I couldn't find a full video, but that's what I found.
Says he went in there, Ryan Reynolds starts gushing with praise about Blake Lively's rewrite. He says that meeting happened, and then a few hours later, Taylor Swift waltzes into the room and also gushes with praise over the...
Did you know that one of Hollywood's most respected directors once swore never to collaborate with Ryan Reynolds again after just one project? Or that a former co-star described working with him as the worst experience of their entire career? In the next 12 minutes, we'll uncover the real stories that unfolded behind the cameras, the tense moments, clashing egos, and professional fallouts that changed how several stars saw the man often celebrated as Hollywood's favorite jokester. Stay tuned, because the fourth celebrity on this list might surprise you more than any of the rest.
very familiar, and that Blake Lively would certainly know because she did almost the exact same scene. Yeah.
Wow.
And
it's strikingly similar.
Some of the dance moves,
Yeah.
the spinning of her. Now, you could say, look, that's just fan theory, is that Ryan Reynolds saw that scene in It Ends With Us, and it was a trigger, and that he is, because there are some people who feel like he is the one who's driving all of this.
He's
and
pulling
telling
the
Blake.
strings behind.
I don't think, that seems very unfair to Blake Lively,
That's
to me.
a pretty diabolical.
Who also had an experience, she has said, in her lawsuit that she was sexually harassed.
Right. That theory completely minimizes her feelings here, but...
Right. But some fans who are, of course, going to keep theorizing on this as long as it keeps
So is the
playing
idea
out.
that Ryan was jealous and he thought, oh, hey...
Yes. And
Wow.
look, this has been like an ongoing theory that like Ryan Reynolds is the guy that's behind all of this because people feel that Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively were secretly in love while filming this. And if you listen to some of like the voice text that he sent her, it seems like a very, like they had originally like a very intimate conversation and like, you know, just their conversations
Or it
were
was just him
very
speaking
like
at 2 a.m.
love-like.
Or that's just his voice at 2 a.m.
Yes, but fans are really reading into this and they're like, you know, Ryan is so jealous of this relationship. He's trying to torpedo this. And look, at the end of the day, the scenes do kind of look alike. You know, the interaction, the camera angles, the dancing, but it's just another scene in any other movie.
Remember when Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds first appeared together in Green Lantern? Well, there's another leading lady who reportedly refuses to even share a room with him now. That's right, Sandra Bullock, Reynolds' beloved co-star from The Proposal, is said to have completely distanced herself from Hollywood's self-proclaimed funny man. When The Proposal hit theaters, their chemistry was undeniable. The romantic comedy became a runaway hit, with audiences and critics alike praising the pair's effortless banter and emotional balance. Behind the cameras, everything seemed professional, even promising. Studio executives were already discussing future collaborations, eager to recreate the film's magic. But that optimism didn't last long. According to multiple industry insiders, the trouble started during the filming of a key emotional scene. Reynolds allegedly went off script, tossing in ad-libs that caught Bullock completely off guard. The moment, designed to highlight her character's vulnerability, quickly turned into a showcase for Reynolds' trademark humor. Bullock, who had meticulously prepared for the scene, was reportedly furious. One source claimed Reynolds kept altering lines mid-take, adding jokes that stripped away the depth Bullock had built into her performance. What could have remained a minor creative disagreement soon snowballed into something much larger. During the film's press tour, Reynolds allegedly took full credit for the scene's success, praising his own improvisation while never once acknowledging Bullock's crucial role in grounding it emotionally. The rift became undeniable at the 2013 Met Gala. Witnesses recalled a visibly awkward moment when Reynolds appeared to go out of his way to avoid Bullock all night. Even when mutual friends tried to bring them together for a group photo, he reportedly walked off, leaving Bullock stunned and embarrassed in front of the crowd. Since then, the silence between them has been deafening. Sources claim Bullock has declined several high-profile projects solely because Reynolds was attached, including a rumored sequel to The Proposal, which would have earned her a staggering 8-figure paycheck. Despite never speaking publicly against him, insiders say her stance is clear within the industry. When it comes to casting, it's either Sandra or Ryan, never both.
There, Ryan Reynolds starts gushing with praise about Blake Lively's rewrite. He says that meeting happened, and then a few hours later, Taylor Swift waltzes into the room and also gushes with praise over the rewrite of the scene. And he says, and his words in the lawsuit are pretty clear, he says, "It was clear to me that I was being pressured to go with Blake Lively's rewrite." He then wrote to Blake Lively and said, "Listen, that meeting was cool. I liked your pages anyway. You didn't really need to. I liked your pages even before Taylor and Ryan came out to sort of sing."
Sandra Bullock isn't the only major star who's drawn a firm line when it comes to working with Ryan Reynolds. Behind the sharp wit and fourth-wall-breaking humor that made Deadpool a global sensation lies another professional relationship that completely unraveled. So, what exactly pushed T.J. Miller, who played Deadpool's loyal sidekick, Weasel, to walk away from one of Hollywood's most successful superhero franchises, leaving behind millions in potential earnings? According to multiple insiders, trouble began long before the cameras started rolling. When Deadpool first entered development, Reynolds wasn't satisfied with just being the film's leading man, he wanted to shape every detail. Sources close to production say he was deeply involved in script revisions, editing choices, and even marketing strategies. As one crew member put it, Ryan didn't just play Deadpool, he became him, both on and off camera. But that level of control quickly clashed with Miller's expectations. For him, playing Weasel was supposed to be a career-defining opportunity. Instead, friction began building during filming as Reynolds' constant improvisation allegedly ate into Miller's screen time. Every take, Ryan would add new jokes or rewrite his own lines, one production insider revealed. TJ would come prepared with the agreed script, only to watch his part shrink in real time. The real breaking point, however, came during Deadpool's massive promotional rollout. Reynolds' own marketing company, Maximum Effort, took charge of the campaign, and suddenly, Miller was nowhere to be seen. Posters, trailers, interviews, and online promos featured Reynolds front and center, while Miller's character was barely visible. Private messages obtained by insiders reportedly show Miller confronting Reynolds directly. "It's like I'm not even in this movie anymore. You're everywhere, and I've disappeared." Reynolds' response was polite but vague, promising Miller a larger role in the sequel. But when Deadpool 2's script finally arrived, those promises fell apart. Weasel's role had been reduced to little more than a brief appearance. Feeling blindsided, Miller allegedly stormed into Marvel's offices, confronting Reynolds in front of senior executives. One witness described the confrontation as intense enough that security had to step in. The feud eventually spilled into the public eye when Miller gave a blunt interview, admitting he would never work with Reynolds again. He described him as a completely different person once the mask went on, claiming that the friendly humor vanished and was replaced by coldness and condescension. For Miller, the experience marked the end of a partnership and a painful reminder that even Hollywood's funniest heroes can leave lasting scars behind the scenes.
Whoa, nice! Nice!
He followed me.
See, that's funny. That's a reveal because she's like, "Can we just stop?" But then she's in your DMs like, "Girl, keep it going."
My post and she's like, "Oh, your coverage on this is amazing." And I messaged her. She's like, "You better keep going." And I'm like, oh my gosh,
wow, that's an exclusive. That's hilarious.
I know. And then the biggest, like my favorite, I don't know if you ever watched Rizzoli and Isles.
Yes.
Dr. Isles has a podcast she's starting, and she messaged me. She wants me to come on.
It's wild. Enjoy. Well deserved. Well, I love it. We'll have to, and we'll talk more later. I would love, because I figured out where you are, but you're not in LA, because we're filming a lot of people in LA, and I'd love to include you in our doc if you're willing, but we'll talk more about that as we go. But while I have you, we do have some Ryan Reynolds updates I wanted to share. And so rather than just play your video, I thought it'd be fun if we could actually get you on here.
My notebook.
Oh, you got, wow. That is the notebook?
No, this is the book of truth. It's everything. It's
amazing. Amazing. You are doing the work. You are helping us get to the truth. So there's been a few Ryan Reynolds updates. First, before we get to even yours, I'm assuming you saw Matthew Lawrence was calling him out as well. Matthew Lawrence has the Brotherly Love podcast with the Lawrence brothers. Good for them. They're relevant again through this podcast.
Somehow.
Whoa, that's what I think of. Blossom, whoa. Here he was talking about Ryan.
It just missed the mark, but it was a really interesting movie. Great script.
Frankenbold or something was the movie?
The funny part about it is that the production team was having a really hard time with Ryan. Now, this is young Ryan.
He wanted to wear his own clothes. Wait a minute. Wait a second. Are you telling me he was sending texts to the studio?
I've heard that before.
Back in the mid-'90s. I wonder where Blake learned it from.
I'll never forget.
Allegedly.
I'll never
all hearsay.
That's what they call that MO.
I was.
Go ahead. Sorry, I meant to pause. What were you saying?
I said that's what they call a method of operation on a criminal shows. That's an MO, if I've ever seen it.
Yes. I'd grown up in the industry, so I'd known my way around a set. By that point, I was dialed in, right?
You couldn't keep him away from craft service.
He wasn't dialed in.
I'm just kidding.
Okay? And he'd walk out, didn't really, just wanted to kind of do his thing. And the producers were getting really upset because they said, and they even told him, like, Ryan, this is a bad Jim Carrey impersonation. We don't want just not what we hired you to do. We thought you can't impersonate somebody. You got to do your own thing. And he got upset at that. And he was like, I'm doing my thing. And then I was privy to a meeting between the director and this crew had come from, I think they were just nominated for an Oscar. So they were.
Can I just love that we are in the state of the world where actors who don't get as much work can now make a podcast and dole out these old stories of the people that they always wanted to rag on. You go, Matthew Lawrence.
And it's a moneymaker now.
Kind of a big deal at that moment. Talk about frustrations on set with actors. Right. And I'll never forget being privy to this movie going, I can't believe this guy. We had so much hope for this guy. He's going nowhere.
That's funny. He's like the biggest. Literally the biggest.
You never know in Hollywood,
but here's the difference.
You never know.
So anyway, but he was young. Do you fault him, Elsrich, on this one? Is this your story's worse? That's why I started with the last one. What do you think of this?
I wish he would call me and told me this story personally so I could have released it with my wits, because I would have done numbers with the story. I mean, the comparisons I could have found within the story and what Blake is doing is just amazing to me. I wish everybody would come out the woodworks. I still feel like there are people who are scared to speak their truth, and it's amazing to me. Actually,
it's like Armie Hammer when he was so afraid to talk about Blake Lively clearly firing him.
Oh yeah. And that's not even the worst of Gossip Girl stories that could come out. So she got lucky with that.
While T.J. Miller's fallout with Ryan Reynolds played out publicly, another figure in Hollywood was wrestling with what he described as a much deeper betrayal. Before Reynolds became the billion-dollar powerhouse behind Deadpool, he was just another actor struggling to land a hit. And according to one furious former colleague, his big break may have come from an idea that wasn't entirely his own. In the years leading up to Deadpool, Reynolds' career was on shaky ground. Green Lantern had underperformed, R.I.P.D. had bombed, and studios were beginning to lose confidence in him as a bankable star. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, he found the perfect project, one that would redefine his image and resurrect his career. But insiders claim that the concept behind Deadpool wasn't originally Reynolds' brainchild at all. The story traces back to 2010, at an exclusive Hollywood industry party. There, comedian Dane Cook, Reynolds' former co-star from Waiting, was reportedly pitching a long-nurtured personal project, a gritty, R-rated superhero satire that broke the fourth wall and poked fun at the genre itself. According to sources who attended the event, Cook spoke passionately about blending dark humor with meta-commentary, a tone and structure that would later become unmistakably associated with Deadpool. Just a few months later, word spread that Reynolds was developing a film strikingly similar in concept. Insiders allege that he used his industry connections to fast-track the project, leaving Cook's idea to languish in development limbo. When mutual acquaintances began pointing out the parallels, Reynolds allegedly brushed off the comparisons, calling them pure coincidence and even joking that Cook should feel flattered to have inspired him. Things reportedly escalated when Cook attempted to address the issue privately. Verified emails show that he reached out to Reynolds directly, asking for some acknowledgement of his early creative input. Instead, Cook received a legal threat, a cease and desist letter warning him to stop making public claims about the project. One veteran comedian familiar with both men described it as the dirtiest open secret in comedy circles, saying Cook didn't have the money or influence to fight back against Reynolds' growing empire, so he simply went silent. The incident has had lasting ripple effects. Several comedians close to Cook have allegedly distanced themselves from Reynolds' projects in quiet protest. And in a 2019 podcast, Cook seemed to reference the ordeal indirectly, recalling how a Canadian actor had built a career off a superhero idea he'd spent years developing. "I watched someone take my creative vision and turn it into their empire," he said. "The hardest part wasn't losing the project, it was watching the world call him a genius while I just had to sit there and smile."
That picture real quick. It's really interesting. A lot of them are just not looking at him at all, even though he's standing and talking. Right. That's really interesting. And nobody's amused, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, they just thought it was puzzling that they would be out considering all the things that have been said in this war between Blake and Justin. So now, that's not to say that they were completely ignored. From what we've heard, there were people who were talking to them. Paul McCartney, strangely enough, was hanging out with them. But there were other people who actually avoided them, is what we heard, that were just didn't want to get into conversation with them.
Well, you can understand it. They're sort of radioactive. In one breath, Blake Lively is saying she was the subject of serious sexual harassment during the filming of It Ends With Us, and now they're making light of it on SNL's 50th reunion show. So tonally, it does seem off, and I can imagine people just wanting to stay away from it. You're going to catch shrapnel if you get involved in this drama at this point.
You know what?
That's probably the point. Like,
can I tell you,
you don't want to catch a stray.
The craziest thing about everything that's unfolding, okay, I get the Blake Lively thing, and I know that there is a history there that people have been talking about, and the war with Justin Baldoni. But to say the word radioactive in the same sentence as Ryan Reynolds is unbelievable.
It's because we were not there. That's just not where Hollywood was, and
it was the opposite.
Complete opposite.
Most beloved, one of the most beloved actors in this town. And that's why, look, when you see people doing commercials, you know that they've checked out their popularity. I mean,
because normally that's something that actors don't want to do, but you know he knows he can do it because it's not going to affect his Q rating.
Yet now he is in the middle of this whole thing. And really was in the middle of it. It's just nobody knew it until now. But it's breathtaking the way he's been kind of balled up in this whole thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, his lawyer, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, was on Billy Bush's podcast yesterday. And he had some choice words about Ryan Reynolds' choice words.
What did you think when you saw, Ryan, make light of the situation? I guess try to find some humor in all this.
I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation. I can't think of anyone who's done anything like that, and so it surprised me.
So I got to tell you, all I'm thinking in my head is one word: deposition. Because when Ryan Reynolds sits for a deposition, if it gets that far,
tell us about when you went in for the meeting and going over the script with SNL.
Well, what I'm thinking
is
what Brian Friedman is going to say is, so you were upset that you say your wife was harassed, and he's going to say yes, and he's going to say, yet you kind of made a joke of it or made a joke of it.
Well,
that's what he'll
more
say.
than asking Ryan, he's going to put that question to Blake because she's sitting there, she's party to it in knowing and reacting to the lines.
You're going to do it
right.
with both, but you're going to do it with Ryan.
Right.
You're going to do it
but
with
my
both.
point is, did you say to Blake, you
were
said
sitting
you
there,
were
you
so
co-signed on
upset.
it. You
right.
co-signed on it. So it's like these things bite you in the ass sometimes.
Right. It's sort of like when there's a case going on, we always say that you don't hear the people speak out about it at all. This happened with Alec Baldwin during his case, and he sat and did a big interview, and we're like, that was really puzzling. This is why people generally zip up when they're in the middle of something.
Clip 5. While Dane Cook was privately dealing with what he saw as a creative betrayal, Ryan Reynolds was busy igniting a much more public feud, this time with one of late-night television's biggest names. It's a story that fans have quietly wondered about for years, the mysterious disappearance of Ryan Reynolds from Jimmy Kimmel Live. Despite appearing on nearly every major talk show across the US, Reynolds hasn't set foot on Kimmel's stage in years, and insiders say it has nothing to do with scheduling conflicts. Once upon a time, Reynolds was a regular and welcome guest on the show. His quick humor, smooth delivery, and carefully crafted anecdotes made him a crowd favorite. But that relationship reportedly came crashing down during what should have been a simple promotional stop in 2018. According to production insiders, just minutes before the cameras rolled, Kimmel discovered that Reynolds' own marketing company, Maximum Effort, had secretly planned an elaborate viral stunt, one that completely blindsided the show's producers. The setup allegedly included planted audience members, pre-recorded clips, and surprise effects designed to hijack the segment. "I was right there in the green room when it happened," a production assistant later revealed. Jimmy was furious. He told Ryan point blank, "This is my show, not your personal ad campaign." Reynolds, unfazed, reportedly fired back with a smirk, "Trust me, this will go way more viral than any of your boring questions." The planned stunt was scrapped at the last minute, but the damage was done. Even after heavy editing, viewers noticed something was off. The tension between host and guest was undeniable. Crew members described the segment as painfully uncomfortable, with one saying, "You could practically see Jimmy counting the seconds until the next commercial break." Rather than letting things cool down, Reynolds took to Twitter days later, posting thinly veiled jabs about outdated media gatekeepers who didn't understand modern marketing, suggesting that some talk show hosts cared more about control than creativity. The final blow came a few months later. Reynolds was scheduled to return to Jimmy Kimmel Live, but just 2 hours before taping, his team abruptly cancelled, citing a scheduling conflict. That same night, he appeared on a rival late-night show, performing the exact stunt Kimmel had refused to allow, to roaring applause. According to a senior producer, that was the last straw. Reynolds was permanently blacklisted from Jimmy Kimmel Live. Jimmy felt disrespected, the producer explained. Not just as a host, but as a fellow comedian. In this business, there are lines you don't cross.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds really goes to show that their careers are pretty much done and over. Blake Lively more than Ryan Reynolds. Radioactive is the same word that describes them. If you look at Robert De Niro's face as well as Kevin Costner, it's extremely telling. They're done. And it's no wonder everyone avoided them like the plague. And others were just trying to keep it polite.
So, what do all these rifts reveal about one of Hollywood's most celebrated stars? Beneath Ryan Reynolds' trademark charm and sharp humor lies a far more complicated picture. His meteoric rise, from a struggling actor with box office flops to a billion-dollar powerhouse, hasn't come without casualties. For fans, he's the witty, lovable prankster who can do no wrong. But for several of his former colleagues, he represents something else entirely, a relentless drive for control, a marketing mastermind who often blurs the line between confidence and ego. A clear pattern seems to emerge: creative clashes, hijacked promotions, and rivalries born out of ambition. Yet, despite the drama, Reynolds continues to thrive. With Deadpool's billion-dollar success, lucrative business ventures, and his own production empire, he may have reached a rare level of fame where burned bridges simply don't slow him down. The question now is whether those bridges will ever catch up to him. In an industry built on relationships, can anyone stay untouchable forever? Or has Ryan Reynolds already mastered the Hollywood game, playing it better than anyone else? Only time will tell if the industry's favorite trickster will one day face the fallout from the chaos left in his wake.